Hey, it's Friday. Running the heat in my van a little bit. I got a few things I need to do in here. Whew, I'm red-faced. I am tired. I had a really long night last night, just crying and thinking about my son. I don't know what brought it on. Who could explain grief? I just know that that pain was there again, and I feel like I could cry now, and I don't want to cry. I know he's gone before the Lord. Just the idea that he's not here, you know. I'm still at my daughter's. I don't talk to her about it. You know, it's been 2 years since her husband passed, and, you know, that is her brother, and I don't want to trigger emotions for her. So, just everyone went to bed, and it hit hard, and it continued on this morning. Thankfully, before she woke up, I was able to compose myself. But yeah, it's the worst pain. It's the worst pain I've ever had in my life, losing my son. You know, it's a living life growing inside of you, and, you know, I can remember the kicks and walking to the hospital in labor, and him crawling for the first time, walking for the first time, all the first, you know. And then I started thinking all the first he'll never get to experience. Like his daughter is expecting a baby, my granddaughter is expecting a little one in July. He would have been a fantastic grandfather. But I had to get out of my own mind, and I just know God's carrying me through it. I don't know why when it hits, it just, out of the blue, I'll be having like such a good time, and then all of a sudden it just consumes me. But I'm better now than I was earlier. A lot better. So I'm going to do a few projects in my van. Today my goal is that new cabinet I got. My grandson really needs it. It's like a dresser. So I gifted it to him, and I'll figure out something else. I'm good with that. So my goal is to empty out the drawers, so when he gets home from school today, we could just carry that up. And of course, I got to fill my medication up because I'm done for the week. I'm here till the 26th, and then I have an appointment the 28th with my oncologist, and the 30th for chemo. So this drive has really taken something out of me this time. I think my body's just tired. I've been going through a lot of treatments, over 20 months now of treatments, and I'm just tired. I felt the Lord put some things on my heart. One I wasn't quite too sure about. I didn't know if it was just me wanting to do it to be closer to my daughter, but that was knocked out of the water real quick, and I could share that one. I was thinking, well, get a small trailer, rent an RV spot, and I could still go and do things and help people. And there's this wonderful organization here that I am going to help out with during winter times when I'm wintering in this area. I did tell my daughter I would spend next holidays with her and my grandson. So that's the plans for that part of it. But as far as I was looking at, they're very specific. If your trailer is over 10 years old, majority of these places don't want them there. And I understand. Though I've seen some really nice ones, right? But they're like $12,000, $15,000. And to me, that's ridiculous. It just doesn't make sense. I get it. People should get what they want to get. I get that. But to me, that's a lot of money that I cannot justify it at all. But here was the kicker for me. The least expensive RV area where the crime is not high, you know, there's not a lot of drug usage in the area. That's important to me. I don't want to go somewhere where I don't feel safe, where it's not safe for my grandson to be. $925. Like, are you kidding? I was like, okay, thank you, Lord. That sealed the deal for me. But I have always known that the Lord wants me to do what I'm doing, but in a more advanced level. So I'm excited for that. I'm not going to speak on the other part yet, though I truly feel that's where He's leading me. Once it's pretty well set, then I'll share that. But yeah, I thought, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Over $900? You know? Lady goes, well, you get, garbage and electricity and water, and I'm thinking, well, how much is electricity, for crying out loud? It's a slab of cement. There's nothing special, nothing. So, anyway, so that's a no-go, and actually I feel relieved, and I told my daughter, I said, look, I'm not paying for that. I could come back and forth, there's a whole lot of Washington, and this upper end of Oregon towards Washington that I want to explore, and a lot of people that I could go out there and share the word with, and come back here, and then like I promised her, next holiday season, Thanksgiving and Christmas, I will be here, and my daughter has really good management, and they're okay with me being here for 1 to 2 weeks at a time. They don't care. They're good. My daughter's been here for years, and she's very good. She's a very good tenant. So, yeah. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to do my medicine. I'm going to work on things in my van. I definitely this spring and summer going to revamp some things. I definitely need to redo my bed, and look, I'm just not good at that stuff. It's only by God's grace my bed is even still standing all these years. I'm afraid to move anything in the garage area because it's like it's holding it up. But I do need to make it to where it's sturdier, and I definitely want to level out my flooring, just some things like that, and it's home. I can't believe it's going to be 9 years next month, in a few weeks. 9 years, and that's even taken away. If I go to the end of February, I'll be 9 years. Well, actually, when did I leave? I think it was the 5th of February. But, I had a hiatus here and there, and I do go to my daughter's for a week or two, but I live in my van. Everything I own is here in this van. So, I don't know, I'll be 64. I'm praying the good Lord gives me another 30, 40 years would be fantastic, and, yeah, I'm happy and I'm excited for what's to come. And just talking to you guys, I feel better about the whole thing with my son. He'll be 42 forever. His birthday's next month. He would have been 43. And, yeah, tough times. It's because the heart loves, A mama is a mama forever. Even though he didn't want to speak to me, he never blocked me, so I would send him his messages and stuff. So eventually I even quit doing that. I felt the Lord led me to just not do that. But he would talk to my daughter and ask my daughter, how I was and stuff like that. So I know my son loved me, but I also know he was a good husband. He stood by his wife regardless. So, and he was just a good person, a very good person. Greatly missed, for sure. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm enjoying my visit. I told my daughter I feel so lazy. We went for a walk yesterday. Now, Bremerton, Washington is like San Francisco. My goodness, it's just full of hills. So on a walk, I'm finally feeling good. we go for a walk. Downhill was great. I was feeling good, but I had to climb those hills back. And I told my daughter, gosh, this trip, it's like I'm taking longer to recover. I just get tired. I'll take a shower and I have to sit for like 10 minutes. I get tired. I get dizzy. And, yeah, too much going on. I was reading a thing about the monks. I love their peace walk. Gosh, I love that. But they were talking about people should pay attention to their tigers and their monkeys, right? The tigers being speaking without thinking, lashing out, being angry, attacking. We need to cut that and be mindful of that. And the monkey is all the jumble in our head, right? We're so consumed by everything going on. And believe me, there's a lot going on. But I can't control any of what's happening in this world. So I just pray. And it's not just pray. That's the most important thing for me, is to pray over it. But to silence that. And they suggested, we are people of our lovers. And what they meant by that was our phones. And that's so true. Our phones just, have you gone to a doctor's office lately or somewhere and people are just so engaged in their phone, just staring at it, and no one communicates. And they suggested 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon, and 15 minutes in the evening, just stopping, turning off your phone and don't touch it for those 15 minutes. And be present in the now. And I just love that whole philosophy. That's what Jesus teaches that, right? We need to remain calm and steadfast and, finding the good instead of looking for the bad. And don't let chaos and stress just consume us. And I think those are areas that I'm definitely going to work on. I know there are times with my phone I'll just mindlessly scroll. It's really terrible. And I could admit my shortcoming on that, And then there's times I'll just set it down. I just don't want nothing to do with my phone. I'll answer people when I'm able to answer them, or if I feel that it's, okay for me to answer them at that time. But yeah, there's a lot to be learned. They take a slower pace in life. I loved it because I wondered, they're always handing out flowers and bracelets for people that are elderly or disabled or seem to be going through some hardship. They hand them flowers or put a bracelet on their wrist to show them that they are seen and that they are loved and cared for. And I thought, how beautiful is that? I like to think of that. I do that with the hot hands and the socks. It's like, hey, I see you. You matter to me. You're important to me. It doesn't get me any points with our Maker. No, not at all. But I'll tell you what, after death, we go to judgment. And I do not want to stand before the Lord and him saying, well, why? You were able to. Why did you not? I don't do good with confrontation, and I don't want to be confronted that way. So I'll just keep on doing God's good work and living for him and just taking life slow. And that's what I love about my life is, other than I have to be stationary for right now, I have a really calming, slow life. If I go get groceries, I go get them. If not, then I'll make do with what I got, I don't rush. I don't, other than my daughters, I don't go to people's homes. I don't sit and visit. I've never been that way, though. So, yes, I love to have conversation with people, but I'm truly an introvert. And I used to not be, but there was a time I was involved with my children's schooling and, worked 2.5 jobs. And yeah, I had my best friend who's now passed. We were always at one or the other's house. And, we were always going to barbecues. We were doing picnics. I mean, just busy. I like this life. a whole lot more. It's just calming. I can't change something. God can. So I just leave it for him and let him take care of it. But yeah, that's all that I got going on. I just wanted to check in and say hey to everybody and kind of share what's going on and what's not going on. And life is good. I pray for you. I truly pray that God just gives you peace over all circumstances, that he blesses your comings and your goings. He is a mighty, mighty God. There's nothing too big or too small for him. There's nothing. He loves you right where you're at. So I ask that you pray for me as well, and I continue to pray for you. I will be talking to y'all for sure on Sunday. This is Gracie. Have a blessed, blessed day. Talk to you soon. Bye.